Rivals of Aether. So first off, we have to talk about a little game you may know called Super F***ing Smash Jesus goddamn Christ Brothers, which Rivals of Aether lives in the shadow of. The Smash games gave birth to a whole new genre of fighting games called the Plat-View Parry. The genre is still in its infancy, as we still see the term Smash clone or Smash ripoff thrown around, just like Doom clone was once used for the FPS. But that's largely because we haven't really seen a good example of a platform fighter that isn't Smash. Or are you? Now, I've played Rivals of Aether like 1 or 2 times, but what if you're not a freak? Is Rivals of Aether actually a good game for someone who hasn't devoted all this time? Someone not trapped in a bomb shelter in Washington, possibly close to is that a Burger King? Does Rivals stand out amongst its indie competition? Does it stand apart from Smash? Is this little game worth your time and money? First off, if you don't like Smash, you're probably not gonna like Rivals. The main format is basically the same. Percent, directional inputs, yeet your buddy off stage to win, and of course, this is a multiplayer game first and foremost. While there are some interesting features that could work as single-player content, you're really gonna need some friends, or random strangers on the internet to enjoy the game. But if you already like Smash, then why play Rivals instead? You may look at these characters and think, hey, these are just a bunch of furries. I mean, Pokemon. And, well, you'd be right. But if you dig a little deeper and spend a little time with them, you'll very quickly realize just how unique they actually are. Rivals' biggest strength is a sheer amount of unbridled imagination going on just below the surface. Imagine for a moment what Shovel Knight would look like in Smash. Probably he'd use his shovel to hit in whatever direction and maybe have some kind of projectile based off of some of the relics in his game. And that's how you think he'd play in Rivals, right? Wrong! You fool! No, in Rivals, when Shovel Knight hits his enemies, they drop gems, money, and you need to actually collect that money because your taunt is a store where you buy relics and armor all from the game. You got the momentum mail, which makes you slide around, the dynamo mail, which makes you smash in the air. You got the gold one that's just like a you to the opponent. Ghost gloves, mobile gear, and the whore. All these different ways to be creative, all these different play styles, and that's just Shovel Knight. What Rivals lacks in quantity, it more than makes up for in quality. There is a freshness in the design in each and every one of these characters. And hey, I have an entire video about Rivals character design that I'll link at the end thingy. While Rivals does obviously draw inspiration from Melee and PM, it also draws from non-Smash games like Street Fighter and League of Legends of all places. Rivals takes what would normally be a simple bundle of hitboxes and turns its characters into these shockingly complex mechanisms. Every single character, and yes, I mean every single character, has the tools to be an insane, punishing machine when played correctly. When you compare plat fighters to traditional fighters, one big difference is how much the arena or stage makes a difference in the match. Rivals character design works towards the strengths of the genre. Every character has multiple ways to influence the stage, which reinforces why you're playing this kind of fighting game in the first place. Every character's tools are in line with that character's archetype, but at the same time, it allows players to work around their characters' weaknesses, have unique playstyles, and be creative. So not only do these tools help everyone stay balanced, but it's also what makes Rivals feel so very unique. It is not an overstatement to say that Rivals has really evolved the platform fighting genre. Get it? Like Pokemon evolve. It's a callback joke. I'm funny. Now can you please take these chains off me? I promise I won't try to sneak out like last time. Smash Bros, unlike other fighters, has a much bigger divide between its casual and competitive communities. Some people consider it a party game like its developers, and others desperately want it to be a real big boy competitive esport. So knowing this was the ecosystem it would exist in, what did Rivals of Aether do to stand out? Did it appeal to the much larger and typically more financially lucrative casual audience? No, it doubled down on the competitive side of things. Instead of going for a large amount of fair weather fans, Rivals ended up obtaining, on purpose or not, a group of die-hard, dedicated players that won't shut up about the game. Now hold on, because it sounds like I'm saying Rivals is only for people who want to be competitive, but that's not exactly true. Rivals does have features for casual players. It's just that unlike Smash, who developed a competitive scene through a casual game, Rivals somehow accomplished this in the opposite direction. Rivals took all the cool stuff from Melee and PM and they were like, what if we did all that but on purpose. Most of the cool and practical tech is there, minus the L canceling. And it all feels buttery smooth because Rivals has buffer, hold on, it's not like Ultimate's buffer. The Rivals devs are actually people who play video games, and they understand how to not make their game feel like the jar of molasses I've been using to stay alive in this bunker. Unlike Smash, where you have to tweak all the settings, change the rules to make it a competitive game, Rivals does the opposite, where the default settings are essentially the same thing as a tournament, and you have to go into the menus if you want a more casual experience. Rivals is kind of a weird middle child because of this. In some ways, it's too easy for competitive players, while paradoxically being too hard for casuals. That being said, Rivals is a great place to start if you want to dip your toe in competitive fighting. It makes so much easy for you, while still having all the room for growth, still allowing for that satisfying feeling of like actually getting better at something and improving your skill. Compared to your typical fighting game, this isn't actually all that new, but for a Plathu Parry fighting game, it's really nice to see. You can boot up the game and bam, you're just playing against somebody. There's no weird clunky UI to get in your way. You don't have to worry about weird game types or items. The search queues are separated accordingly. And something else Rivals does is a default best of 5. If you play a lot of Slippy like I do, you get really annoyed that people play one game and then just dip. This is such a small thing that Rivals does, but it really does incentivize people to actually just play at least 2 games. Oh, and while we're talking about really small things, if you didn't know this, you can actually playtest your character right there in the character select screen. This feature has been there forever, but I gotta mention it or else Dan Fernacey will pull the trigger. Well, now that Definitive Edition is finally dropped, Rivals does have some amazing things for even this guy. Story mode, tetherball, abyss mode, or the thing you actually care about, Ronald McDonald Steam Workshop, unless you're on Switch. In which case there is no Workshop, which is actually a huge downside, since Workshop is the single greatest casual feature of Rivals. Like, do I really need to talk too much about it? There's a bajillion videos out there, some of them by Carra. Hey, like and subscribe for more. It's mods, it's a bunch of different stuff you can do. It makes the game great. What else is Rivals of Aether? You know, let's look at every single feature. Story mode, which is just awful. Wait, they actually changed this one. The CPUs are terrible. The story is so bad, I have a whole video about why it could be better. It won't teach you anything. You honestly should just stay away from it. And there's tetherball, which is a pretty fun game mode. It's actually surprising how much just changing the win condition makes the game feel entirely different. There's really not much to say about it, besides the fact that, you know, you just play tetherball and you can hit your opponent, just like real tetherball. I've never played real tetherball. Is that what you do? Abyss mode is kind of the often forgotten feature of Rivals. Basically, it's wave-based mini challenges like multi-man melee, fight the armored enemy, hit the enemy into a portal, break the falling thingies, stay on the platforms, fight a boss, learn how to lockpick handcuffs. You break these crystals to get XP, and then you can spend that XP on wacky, crazy abilities because the waves get harder and harder. It's actually a decent progression system and a neat core gameplay loop. And those are basically all the features in Rivals of Aether. Oh yeah, I guess you want my opinion since this is a review and all. Well, 7 out of 10. On Switch. If you don't want to really sink your teeth into this game and get good, and you don't have friends who are close to your skill level to play and have fun with. At the end of the day, this is what the game is. Everything else is secondary. If you enjoy this, you'll like the game. And if not, then you won't. But I think Rivals does do this right. Rivals really is a competitive fighting game first, and you do have to spend a good chunk of time just to make online not a get-your-ass-kicked simulator. And I really do think Steam Workshop is the make-or-break feature for casuals. While Tetherball and Abyss Mode are cool and are a unique enough experience from Smash, I think the novelty will wear off fairly quickly. Tetherball is really just an extension of enjoying the main core of what Rivals is. Even if it's a weird new game mode, the better player is gonna win, and casual players will hate losing. Abyss Mode will also get old pretty quickly. Once you've seen all the waves and the powers, it's actually kind of a shallow experience. Workshop is really the thing that will keep people coming back. Rivals is a great competitive game regardless of which version, but if you're not a crazy diehard fan like me and the rest of the competitive community, then I'd say stick to the Steam version. The Switch version is great if that's how you want to experience the game. When I talk about a competitive player, I don't mean you have to be the sweatiest, try-hardiest, tech skill spamming no-lifer. You only have to have the desire to get better. Improving at a skill, finding something easy to learn, but difficult to master, is really what Rivals offers at its core without all the bells and whistles. And it does it really well. But hey, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. Steam Workshop is so good that it basically warrants the purchase alone for a casual player. It's got a very prolific community that'll only get better over time. There's already a slew of crazy different game modes, stages, whatever this is, and a bajillion characters to make sure you never stop playing ever and will never get
bored. Don't stop playing.
But Dan, my fingers are bleeding. I can't do it anymore.
Playing and tell them about the milestone system.
Dan, that's not even funny anymore. Everybody already has it.
It's free.
You're joking me.